Welcome back to my channel, Creative Katie. Karen Burchill here. If you follow me regularly, you'll know that I've kind of been missing in action for a good part of April. You know, life happens, and I just really am missing creating, getting paint on my fingers, and so I'm just going to start, and I'm going to start small, because sometimes, you know, trying to do a big canvas or trying to do a big project, you'd get bogged down. So I'm just going to, you know, use the KISS principle here, and I'm going to keep it super simple. So I have a canvas board, and this one actually has a magnet on it that comes with it. This came from the dollar store. You get 2 in a package, so you know they're super handy. But if you don't, you can always buy also from the dollar store a magnetic sheet, and then you can cut it and put it onto any board that you purchased and stuff. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to play around with some happy colors. I'm not going to overthink this at all, and we're just going to have some fun. So join me if you want. So what I'm going to have here, I have green, yellow. This is very much a staple now in my paint. I love it with the blues and the greens. Didn't think that I would. I'm going to put some deco art. This is desert turquoise and some light blue. Now, all of these, when I'm gessoing them, I gesso a whole bunch. I do them in bulk. And then on the back, I just put a G for gesso, so I know that the surface has been gessoed, and that just makes it easier when I want to create. I've got that messy part done. You know, I've only had to clean one brush. So you're going to need some saran wrap or plastic wrap for this. The cling wrap, I believe, I've never used it, I don't buy it, but I've heard that it doesn't work for this. So we're going to do the plastic wrap technique. And if you want more information on the plastic wrap technique, I'm going to put a link to my technique tag video where I talk about using it with different paints and different color mediums. Lots of good information there. Please check it out. So what I want to do is just I want kind of a sky background. I'm going to put a little hummingbird onto this fridge magnet, inspirational fridge magnet thing that I'm going to be making. We have hummingbirds here. We have the Anna's hummingbirds that stay all winter long. And you know, they totally provide me with hours and hours of enjoyment for the price of a bag of sugar, right? Now, if you're using the heavy bodied, you're going to have to, I want this, I'm going to blend it a bit. Just going to put it on. Like I said, we're not overthinking it. What we just want to do is just have fun back in the studio. You know, thank you for those people who, you know, left comments, you know, telling me that you missed me, wondering where I was. That's just life, right? It's just life. I'm just going to put that on there. I kind of want spring. It's April, May, it's beginning of May now. I just kind of want that spring. Get a little bit more of this green on here. Kind of want the back. I'm going to do kind of apple blossoms is kind of my plan here. So what I'm going to do is just, while that's still wet, and again, this is just dollar store saran wrap. You don't need the expensive stuff. I'm just going to squish this up, and this is just going to give some lovely texture and interest. It's a very quick, easy way to do that to a background. And I'm just going to squish it up. And I'm going to let this dry for about 5 to 10 minutes. Now you can't take a heat tool with it. The plastic wrap will of course melt. Once it's dry enough and it's not moving anymore, I can take it off. But I find it needs to get to kind of that tacky stage. So I'll be back when it's ready. So it's been a little while. I just went on and I'm working on a different video and a different creation. So I'm just going to pull that off, and hopefully you can see we have some lovely, lovely, oops, texture there. And you can take this if it's still wet. And you know that I usually have my stack of coffee filters there for leftover paint, and I can just put that on there and you kind of have the beginnings of something. Here is, you know, the colored used leftover paint from a different one. So nothing needs to be wasted, and you set yourself up in the system. Okay, so we're just going to dry this and we'll be back.
So after I took the heat tool to the canvas, there were a few spots that were lighter than I liked, so I just got a little bit of that paint on my finger and just kind of pressed it in. So I'm not really covering up any texture, but I am adding some more color. You know, that's a personal choice and decision. So then I want to edge this little mini canvas. You know, it will not be able to be framed. You know, so I want to frame it with a darker color. So I grabbed a blue, and, you know, as I'm putting it on, I'm thinking, okay, it's not quite the blue that's in there. So I end up taking some of that teal that I had earlier and adding it to the color. This is just point in time. Lots of times I may revisit the edging or the shading. I may add more interest later on. But right away it kind of frames it. Now this little hummingbird has been stamped on watercolor paper, and it's just been in my stash for weeks and weeks. And I'm not going to be using it. I'm going to be using the actual stamp. So I'm just using StazOn in a dark blue, and I'm stamping on the background with my script stamp. One of my all-time favorites. If you don't have a script stamp, go out and get one. You will find you will use it with so many different kind of art journal spreads and mixed media pieces. So as I said earlier, I wanted to do a spring background. Now this tag, these two tags, I created 4 tags, in the Mixed Media Technique tag video series. And I'm going to put a link to that one where I'm finger painting flowers. And I made these cherry blossoms or apple blossoms on there. And I even had some cut out, and I just keep them in a plastic container. All my flowers go in one. I've got butterflies in another. I kind of group by like. And when I'm doing a project, especially the smaller projects, I just grab what's already there, and then I use stuff that's in my stash. So I'm just trying to play with the composition, and I apologize. It's been a while since I've filmed, and I pulled the canvas down a little bit closer to be working on it. Another thing that I do, I have my quotes binder. And once upon a time, a long time ago, I, typed out inspirational quotes that, that I liked on my word processor, changed fonts, changed sizes, and printed out. And I have that at the ready. So today, when I was going to be doing some of this, I just went and I flipped through and I cut out a few that I thought would work. And then you just match it to the focal point. So this one says, "Don't give up. Great things take time." And, the hummingbird, persistence personified, um, and spring when it comes. You can't, just when you think it's never going to get here, all the blossoms come out. So I really like that. And in this series of fridge magnets that I'm making for sale, I want to have inspirational quotes that will be on the fridge that, mean something to different people. So now that I have an idea about what I would like for my composition, I'm just going to glue these down. And I'm trying really, really hard not to overthink the placement and any of this. It's been a long time since I've created, and I just want to get the paint on my fingers and feel good about creating. So, if you're struggling, just tell yourself to keep it simple. Just throw things together. Use those happy colors. Here we have a lot of contrast in these flowers and in the background. And to me, this really epitomizes and represents the spring colors. And I'm just trying to visualize where all the different parts of my mixed media mini. So there was the colored coffee filter that I had from earlier, and I decided to use it. I thought it was the perfect colors. It's kind of that teal and green that I often see in my hummingbirds, but I'm not going for, realism here. And then using the same color, the quinacridone magenta that was in the flowers, I'm just going to paint the hummingbird's chest area so that you kind of see that little bit of red. And again, I mean, different hummingbirds look different, so I'm not going for realism. I'm kind of liking how it stood out. One of the advantages of stamping the hummingbird on top of something that was colored, you get that bold black lines. If I was to take the watercolor paper that you saw earlier and paint it, that would mute out the black lines. So I'm using my ink pad here, and I am just edging the sentiments. And that just frames the sentiments, and I don't know, it just seems a necessary part of this. There was a little too much white peeking through there, and I just touch it up with paint. So again, keep it simple. Now I'm using that same ink, and I'm just edging it with black around the edge. I just needed to be darker in my mind. And I really like how this is. But you have the blue underneath, the blue-green underneath, and now you have the black. And I like that layered look too. So more often than not, I end up with doing both of those. So I'm getting out some Payne's Gray up above, and I'm going to do some shading once I have all my focal images and my flowers on this mixed media mini. And I believe this measures, it's 4 by 4. And I'm just using gel medium matte to put this down. I don't have to worry about reactivating anything, because all the color has been done with acrylic, which is permanent. If you were doing it with watercolors or some other things, you may have a problem. So you have to, not that you can't use watercolors or other color mediums that are water activated, you just have to treat it differently. I just thought, now that I have everything in there, I just wanted a little bit more of these flowers up in this corner. I'm just kind of wrapping it around the edges. So it takes some doing to get that to stick. And I keep coming back to it, but I like how it wraps around. So I'm giving it a good dry. I think these magnets would make excellent gifts for people. It's a little bit of inspirational art. Now I'm using the float technique, and you've seen me do this, and I'll put a link to the technique tag video where I demonstrate how and teach how to do this for shading. It's a technique that I use a lot in all my art journaling and mixed media pages. It's a very worthwhile technique to learn. And it's just going to kind of shade around the elements and make them kind of pop. And I'm not being too precise. I don't want to go around every single flower, but I am trying to get some. And I'm just kind of bouncing around here and there. It's just giving some shading and it just makes it pop, I guess, from the background. Separates the collaged items from the background. I often use an angle brush. You've seen me using this angle brush numerous times. You can also use just a flat brush. You can also use a smaller width one if that's what you like. I thought, okay, I need a little bit more interest in the middle of these flowers, so I'm using the fine liner pen to just kind of put some dots in the middle. It's not giving the look I want, but I'll come back to that. So I'm reaching for my fine liner bottle. You've seen me use these. I absolutely love these. They are so worth the investment. Link to it and other products that are used in the creation of this mixed media mini can be found in the description box below to my Amazon store. Please go check it out. And thank you so much if you buy things through there. I do get a small commission, but it does not cost you any more. But please check your prices, because I try to link to the most reasonably priced one, but do due diligence, save your crafting dollars. I'm really loving the color combination of this. This just resembles spring to me. I hope you go out and create a spring mixed media piece or art journal page. Be sure to come and share it on my Facebook group, Mixed Media Creations. Thanks so much for watching. I'm hoping to make more videos more frequently. I think I'm back at it. I got paint on my hand, and boy, does it feel good. Thanks again. Bye.